Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How is everyone? Okay, for this time, we are going to make a video reaction. Usually, we will find this kind of video reaction in YouTube where they will react to video music and film or trailer for movies. But for Proofreaders United, we will also do a video reaction but for the topics related to postgraduate, kan? Okay, so whatever that I will share in this video reaction does not necessarily reflect my personal experience or view. Okay, because why? During my actually, I'm still a postgraduate student. I'm doing my PhD now. I'm still a PhD student, and it's best to discuss this from the perspective of a PhD student. Okay. Soon I will be a lecturer, a researcher in a university. But for now, let's discuss this from the perspective of a PhD student. Okay. Because why? And I really pray that this will be true. That I will be successful in my PhD, inshallah. But I will also want to know what makes a PhD student fail. Okay, fail in their study. Okay, I think I also want to know what the topics are or what the tips are, not how to fail a PhD, so we don't do those things. So this is where we will react to a video prepared by an experienced speaker. So let's see what the tips are. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, 9 ways to fail your PhD. Thank you to, let me see, to Dr. Okay, I think he will introduce our Professor James Arvanitakis. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. And let's see what he has to speak about 9 ways to fail your PhD.
Hi, I'm James Vanatakis. I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies here at Western Sydney University, and today's video is talking about how to fail a PhD. So the first way to fail a PhD is to pick the wrong supervisor.
Pick the wrong supervisor. The first point in his presentation, he talks about picking the wrong supervisor. Okay, let's learn more.
Picking a supervisor is the most important thing you can do when you begin your PhD, and it's actually that relationship will make or break your PhD. Sometimes people are attracted to the highest profile academics or academics they think are the best in their field, and that could be the right supervisor for you, but don't necessarily only be attracted to those supervisors. Pick a supervisor who wants to work with you in the way that you want to work, understands the project that you want to do, and also is willing to understand your ideas, especially if they're a little bit different. So don't always go for the highest profile person. Go for the person who suits you the most.
Yes. Go to the person who suits you the most in terms of many ways. In terms of emotion, in terms of, it's like a marriage between two persons. It's kind of a marriage between two persons, but it's just that they do not sleep together. Okay, because why? You will spend a lot of time together with your supervisor during the years of your PhD journey. Okay, that's why you really have to pick your supervisor, the right supervisor for you. Okay, what will happen? What will happen if we do not pick the right supervisor? We will go through hell throughout the years. We will go through hell. It's not the hell that we know, the hell that we will go after we will go. Na'uzubillah. Okay, we will not go, but not that kind of hell in the hereafter. But this is the kind of hell in the world. Okay, supposedly doing a PhD should be an enjoyable, a kind of enjoyable, but in academic way of enjoying the journey. Okay. But if we pick the wrong supervisor during our PhD or possibly master as well, we will go through hell. So that's one of the ways to fail your PhD. Na'uzubillah. So don't do that. pick the right supervisor for your PhD. Okay?
Second sure way to fail your PhD is
Okay,
to either
second.
avoid your supervisor, ignore your supervisor, or
Yes,
ignore their
yes, yes,
advice.
yes. Yes, ignore. We do not consult our supervisor. It's our own fault if we do not consult our supervisor, especially if we do not have any progress. First thing first, you do not have any progress. That's one mistake already. And then we avoid our supervisor. That's the second mistake, which will lead to many more mistakes. One mistake leads to another. Do not make the first one, which is to not make any progress. And then if you, for some reasons, make the mistake, that means you do not have any progress, then you do not consult your supervisor. You do not meet your supervisor. That is even worse mistake. Okay, so do not do that. So let's learn more from this professor.
A few years ago, I found a friend of mine in a PhD lab hiding behind a photocopier. When I asked her what she was doing, she said she was actually hiding from her supervisor. This is not a good sign. It's important that you don't avoid your supervisor. If something's happened and you've lost a bit of momentum, rather than avoid them, you should actually seek them out and ask for
Exactly, exactly. If we are out of momentum, this is the high time for us to meet our supervisor. Yeah, sometimes we lose our momentum, we lose our motivation to do our PhD. But avoiding our supervisor is the reason for us to even lost to be even lost in our PhD progress. So do not avoid our supervisor. See them. Just admit, dear doctor, dear prof. Yes, I admit that I made mistake. I do not have any progress. I would like to seek your advice. What should I do now? Can you help me? I believe a lovely, a caring supervisor will be more than happy to see your face, to guide you to get you back into the track for you to finish your PhD. That is where your supervisor should help you in making sure you are, yeah, you are not on track, but at least you will get back to the track based on your current progress. Do not worry, supervisor should help you. Okay.
help. The third way to fail a PhD is to not treat it like a job.
Oh, not to treat like a job. Okay, interesting. What if we have a full-time job? Okay, let's see if this professor has anything to say about that.
PhD requires you to put in at least 35 to 40 hours a week. That is 9 to 5 every day, at least 5 days a week. And this is how you should treat it. Sometimes people think that they've got plenty of time, make appointments to catch up with friends for coffee or do something, and they waste time. This is actually a fundamental error that many PhD students make. So you need to treat it like a job, working 7 or 8 hours a day, and treat it as a professional would.
Wow. Okay, we should treat our PhD like we are doing it as a full-time job. Okay. Yeah, this is tricky, especially if you do your PhD as a part-time student. Okay, I know some PhD students who are at a high ranking in a government organization, and they do their PhD as a part-time student. Okay, and yeah, they admit that they have some challenges in progressing in their study, but they are progressing, but very slowly. But at least they are progressing because they know where they are, who they are, because they do the PhD as a part-time student, and that's why they are not progressing as a full-time PhD student. What more, if you are a full-time PhD student, you should treat it like a full-time job from 9 to 5 every day. But actually, this is from my personal experience. Actually, it's quite amusing to treat our PhD from 9 to 5. It will not be that. It will not be that, because why? Even in our dream, we still work. Okay, even in our dream, we still work. Why? one of the things as a PhD student is to do is to think. Sometimes it's brought until our in our sleep. Okay, that's why it's quite amusing to me at least to say that we should read it from 9 to 5, and then after 5 we have to forget about our PhD. Sometimes it's very difficult, but it's manageable. So yeah, we still have to keep our mental health at the right state. That's why although we treat it like a job, a full-time job, but please take care of our mental health and of course physical health too. Okay.
The fourth way to fail a
Fourth
PhD
way.
is to wait for people to tell you what to do.
Yep. Being a proactive student is the key. Is the key to be a successful PhD student. You have to be proactive. You should know what you want to do next. You don't have to wait until people tell you what you should do next. Even if you do not know or about what to do next, you have to ask people. That effort, the initiative to ask people is also one of the ways to move forward. Instead of waiting people to ask you, you should ask first. Okay.
Especially within the Australian context, the PhD student is expected to lead the project, lead your research.
Yep.
Don't sit around and wait for people to tell you who to interview, when to interview them, how to interview them, what research to do, what to read. Always seek advice from your supervisor, but it's most important that you lead the project and don't wait around for people to tell you what to do.
Yep. Yes. This gets back to the first, the second point on avoiding supervisor. You will not be able to do this if you keep avoiding your supervisor. That's why you have to be proactive in leading your own PhD project. And if you are stuck in some way or another, you should meet your supervisor. Never avoid your supervisor. Your supervisor should be able to help you, to guide you, to not to tell, but to guide what to do when you are stuck, how to go about it. Yes, meet your supervisor. Do not avoid it. Avoid your supervisor.
Number 5 in tips how to fail your PhD is to leave all your writing towards the end.
Yep.
So you spend a couple of years doing all the research and
Yeah, do not delay your writing until the end of your PhD progress. No, the writing should be done at the very first day of our PhD. In fact, before you even start your PhD journey, you can start writing. Okay, because why? It does not necessarily need to be when you are in the faculty or in the institute that you can start writing. You can even start writing something about your interest, your expectation from the study in your journal or in any way in your book, as long as you make it a habit. Because why? Once it's a habit, you will find it very very easy for you to start writing and to continue writing and to finish the writing throughout the years of your PhD. Okay. Okay. Speak of which, okay. Speaking about writing, this coming Saturday we will have a systematic literature review class with Madam Noraisha. She published 2 Q1 SLR articles. Okay, so you can attend to the class and then learn how she managed to do that. Isn't it amazing? She wrote and published 2 Q1 articles in her first year of PhD. Let's learn from her. To know more about the class, you can go to our social media, Professors United, in Facebook and in Instagram. We have the details there.
doing all the interviews or doing all your lab tests, and then with a year to go, you think to yourself, now I'm going to do my writing. Staring down the barrel of trying to write somewhere between 50 to 100,000 words in one.
Yeah. You don't have to wait until you have your lab results, your questionnaire being distributed and then returned to you, only then you can write. No, actually, by doing systematic literature review, you can already write and publish. Not only write, but you can also publish from the writing that you've done for your literature review. What more if it is a systematic literature review? You can publish your writing. So you do not have to to wait until the end of your lab work and field work. You can immediately start writing as soon as possible.
1 year is almost impossible. So what you should do is make sure that you start writing from the very first day that you start your PhD.
See?
Never leave your writing to the end. It's a surefire way to fail your PhD. The sixth way to fail your PhD is to be precious, not take feedback, or actually aim for perfection. What
Actually, those are two. Okay, not taking feedback is one point. What was the other one?
leave your writing to the end. It's a surefire way to fail your PhD. The sixth way to fail your PhD is to be precious, not take feedback, or actually aim for perfection.
Okay, aim for perfection. Not taking feedback and aim for perfection. Those are two things that actually this professor can break into two. Okay, not taking feedback is one thing, and how will you know that it's a perfect work if you do not take feedback? Kan? So that's why you have to take feedback from, especially from your supervisor, and then never aim for perfection. Just do it first and then get feedback from your supervisor about your progress. They will give feedback so that you can go about it right after that. Okay.
What happens is everything you write, no matter if it's a first draft or the 10th draft, it's always going to have room for improvement. When you get feedback, don't be sensitive about it.
Betul. That's right. That's right. Don't be sensitive. Don't take it personal. Your supervisor will be giving feedback about your work because they care about you. They care about your progress. That's why they give feedback. If they do not care, they will not even look at your progress. They don't want to know about you, about your progress. So when you get the feedback from your supervisor and they give it to you, you should really appreciate their time for checking your work and then giving their feedback.
Look at it, take advantage of it, see how you can improve your work. So definitely avoid being precious. Being precious is a certain way to fail your PhD. The seventh big error that people make that leads to them failing their PhD is to never plan time off. You always need to reward yourself with some time.
See, I taught this earlier about take your some time off. Okay, earlier I said about it's amusing. It's quite kelakar to say we can stop thinking about our PhD at the very fifth, at the very at 5 o'clock of the day, 5 p.m. of the day. Because why we still have to think whether we like it or not. But we can always take time off to rest our mind and then to give ourselves some break. And then we will resume doing our job after we have taken some break.
Time off. Could be one night, could be a weekend, could be a whole week. But it's really important that you plan, in your timeline, you actually plan to reward yourself with a break and have some time.
Yep. Not only we have to plan about our work on the daily basis, especially on the weekdays when we treat our PhD as a full-time job, we should also plan about our break, our time off. Because why? This way we can really work really hard and smart during the weekdays when we work hard to have some progress about our PhD, and we can also plan. We should plan about our time off, about our break during the weekend. Because why? Because in the end of the day, we have family. If you are married, you have children, you must spend also time with your children and your spouse and your partner, and with your parents. If you are single, you're not married yet, you must take some time with them as well. Because why? In the end, the people who will celebrate your success in your PhD is none other than your family.
I'm off. The eighth way to fail your PhD is to aim too high or aim too low. That is, either make your project too big or too small. And this is where the advice from your supervisor really counts.
Yeah. This I have a personal experience on this. Initially, in my PhD study, I planned to do something related to oral cancer, but I noticed that it will be very difficult for me to find those cancer patients, and then why not I do something that I can do easier, but still have some challenges to do. And then the pandemic struck. And then what happened is that I was really grateful that I did not have to go to the hospitals to get samples from the oral patient or from oral cancer patients. But what I did was I changed the topic from oral cancer to oral health and disease, more specifically on caries among preschool children. So for that, it would be easier for me to find the sample, to get the samples from the preschools. Although during the pandemic the schools were closed, but yeah, I still had the challenges to collect the sample. Yeah, that was some of the things that I experienced, and I'm glad that I made the decision not to proceed with the idea of doing oral cancer topic, and I proceeded with the topic on oral dental caries, which was easier for me to collect the samples, but there were still some challenges.
When I started my PhD, I actually titled it Redesigning the Global Economy.
Wow.
Probably a little bit big for a 3-year project. So it's really important that you actually get the scale and the size of your project right. Aiming too high or aiming too low will mean that you're definitely going to struggle to complete your PhD. The ninth way to fail your
The last way?
PhD is to not discuss potential examiners with your supervisor.
Oh, this is
And this is really good advice from the mighty thesis whisperer.
Okay. This is really new to me. This is where I have to take note, because so far I have not discussed thoroughly or extensively with my supervisor. She did ask me about Zaki, what kind of supervisor you want me to choose for you, and then okay, I told her that. I don't really mind about the kind of supervisor, but as long as they can give feedback about my work, I am more than happy to have them as my supervisor, as my examiner. So yeah, not to say that I never discuss, but I discuss it quite short with my supervisor. Yeah, I told her that. Hopefully she will find me a, a a group of examiners who can help me improve my thesis.
Within the Australian context, you cannot pick your examiners, but you need to discuss them with your supervisor. So it's really important that you identify potential examiners that you think would understand the aim of your project and will mark it in the spirit in which it's written. So that's it from me. 9 tips on how to fail your PhD. Please avoid them, and I'm sure you'll do really well. Good luck, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye
Thank
now.
you. Okay, that's about it. The 9 ways to fail our PhD. So, what do you think? What do you think about the topics that we discussed in this video reaction? Okay, did you make any of those points in his video? Okay, if you did, do not worry. As long as you know that it's not right to do that, so you can now find ways to not repeat those mistakes, so that we will be able to progress even faster in our PhD study. Okay, so what do you think about this kind of video reaction? So we learn from the expert, and I'm talking about we, because why I'm also a PhD student. So we can learn and practice what we learn from the video. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can always leave a comment. And if you find this video is really useful for you, for you and your friends, please click the share button. So until the next video, see you. Bye. Take care.